Hey guys, Rexasaur here and welcome to Patch Notes on the 1st of April 2025. Happy Fool's Day, Merry Fool's Day, April Fool's Day. That's the one. It's the one where I'm a fool because I don't know how to say Happy Fool... fuck. Anyway, hope you guys are playing good pranks that aren't harmful. I personally think the holiday is a bit shit and isn't really a holiday, and no one really expects a holiday. It's just a fun place to troll people for a bit, but... you know, whatever. I never had any fun in my childhood, so what a sombre beginning. Anyway, hope you guys had a good week, and welcome to April, the 4th month. We are 1/4 of the year in already, and boy has it been a quarter for a lot of people, that's for sure, especially people around the earth. Anyway, a lot of stuff has happened in this last week. I can't remember if last week I advised you that my oven broke. Did it happen last week? Yeah, it did. So yeah, I can't remember if I did, but if I did, the short story is our hob and oven is connected to the same electrical connection. The oven overheats when it's on, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure that's what an oven is supposed to do, but it trips the electricity. And we attempted to get this fixed ourselves, but we could not because flicking the fuse box switch that is labelled oven doesn't do anything. It wasn't tripped, so it was still on, so I turned it off and on and it didn't do anything, so we told our landlord. The landlord was like, have you tried the fuse box? And we were like, yeah, we're not dumb. And then he sent a message to our estate agent saying, we're going to send an electrician, but if it's just the fuse box, they have to foot the entire bill, which is interesting because we pay rent, which basically means we are footing the entire bill, you fucking moron. And then the electrician came like 3 days later, so it happened on a Thursday. It took a whole week for him to come through, in which time we didn't have the ability to cook anything on our hob or in our oven, so that was fun. And then when the electrician came, he was like, I'm under strict orders not to touch your fuse box, but I'm going to check the fuse box. Oh, looky here, it is the fuse box. It has tripped a switch, and it's not labelled correctly. That's right, the fuse box, which has the labelling of everything in the flat, doesn't have the correct labels. So he flicked a different switch, which says next to it, tester switch. And now our hob and oven both work, although he has expressly told us, do not use this oven, it will overheat and could cause the whole electrics to go. And I'm like, wow, that seems safe. So I sent an email to the people to be like, because you've taken so long to fix this, I'm not paying rent for this week that we did not have a hob or oven. And they did not respond until yesterday, where they were like, why haven't you paid enough rent? And I'm like, you guys should read your emails. And that's where we are right now. So our hob works, the oven is not allowed to be used, so we're hoping we might get a new oven. Mostly because when I moved in, I was like, damn, this oven be old and also not work properly. And they were like, it's fine. It's been 2 years. So, anyway, that's the adult problems in my life. The less adult problems in my life. Not that many. Kinda. So, what have I been doing? Last week was busy. Oh, I've rubbed it out because we're in April now. Fuck. What did I do last week? We did Baldur's Gate 3. It was good. We've started Act 2, and we are very much in the beginning of it, so that's going to be fun to go through. There's a lot of really cool stuff in Act 2, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be really difficult as well, because there's some really, really hard fights coming up, which, with the party composition that we have, I don't think it's going to be too difficult, but we do have my brother, who likes to run into danger without really checking. So, we'll see, but we are high enough level where I think we'll be fine for the most part. Next, I can't remember, we watched a bunch of Avatar. Didn't do any painting until yesterday. Oh, yes, I've went out with some friends on Friday. So yeah, I had a busy weekend in the case, so I went out with friends on Friday, work colleagues, was really good fun. Then Saturday, so during the week I don't think I did that much, to be honest. I did some Warhammering. I did end up playing Warhammer 3. I've completed 2 campaigns. The Warriors of Chaos, I need to do a very hard legendary. I really, really dislike... I don't actually know when they made this change, but I really dislike what they've done with the recruitment process for Warriors of Chaos. I do not like it. I don't like that I need to wait for those units to become available for me to be able to recruit them. It makes sense to an extent. So something like Medieval 2 has this mechanic, but it's only for specific elite units, whereas this felt like every one of the shitty units was also under that. So at one point I was trying to recruit and couldn't even recruit the basic level 1 Marauder, and I was like, this is stupid. So, ayo. I tried 3 different campaigns from 3D. I tried Be'lakor first, then Archaon, and I settled for Valkyr, who is the Khorne one, because she just made it. She had a better starting location, and also it was just easier that way. I really disliked the rest. So that was something, but I powered through, mostly because Valkyr is very strong, and Khorne units are very strong in auto-resolve. So yeah, that was fine in the end. I managed to do that. And then I had to do a Lizardman one, so I decided I'm going to try Nakai the Wanderer, because I hadn't done that yet. And Nakai was a very, very fun campaign. Really enjoyed that one. I just really liked Lizardmen. Lizardmen were my first faction in Warhammer 2, because I just really liked them, and I still like them, it turns out. They are just really fun. Just really enjoy big fat lizards that have lots of armor and can't really die very quickly. Really fun. And really powerful magic as well. So, did Nakai. Ending that campaign was a bit of a ball ache, because it turns out it was the long victory was faction specific, where I need to eliminate factions. And it took me a while to remember that, and then when I was like, oh shit, this faction's over there, and then I eliminated all of their settlements, and he still had armies, so I was like, shit, I gotta go chase these down. So, anyway, I am currently playing through a Norsca campaign, and it's mixed. It's going iffy. So, the issue with Chaos is that when you are allied with all the other Chaos factions, is that all the good factions ally against you, and the Empire Bretonia double whammy is definitely causing me issues. But that's the fun of the game, really. I managed to get all the Dark Elves out of the Chaos Wastes, so I have enough funds to get a bunch of armies. The issue with Norsca is that their roster is really weak. Until, like, the Marauder champions are okay, they're not amazing, and then you just want a ton of monsters, and it took me a long time to get to the stage where I can just have monsters in all my lists. So, Beyond that, we then had a great reveal in the world of Warhammer, the tabletop, because Grand Cathay have been revealed as an actual playable army, coming probably this summer, I expect. They have such cool models, absolutely phenomenal. They're all new sculpts, which makes them look amazing. We'll see how they do. We'll see the pricing as well. I myself probably won't be getting them outside of just for collection, because I don't have enough space, and I'm quite happy with the armies that I have. But my wife Hannah is interested in possibly getting some just for painting, putting together. She really likes the aesthetic, so we'll see what happens with that. On Saturday, I went over to my friend Richard's. We played a game. We played a 2,500 point game just because we wanted a bigger game. But it was using the 2 armies we're going to be bringing to our tournament in May, which is fast approaching. And we had a good game. Well, it's on Richard's channel. The battle report's already out because we filmed it. We played it at his house using the table that we built last year. The lighting's a bit shit, and the audio quality is awful, just because I didn't realise how good the microphone was, so I thought I needed to put it close to my face, so I was basically shouting down the microphone. So it's not terrible. He has amended the audio, but obviously it's not phenomenal. But the battle itself was, I wiped him. I think it's fair to say I just wiped his army. Turn 1 was a little bit iffy, and then turn 2 I was able to charge effectively 80% of my forces into his, and he wasn't able to resist. He was pushed back a little bit in places. His dragons were very hardy to take down, but that's just old world. But I managed to get through, and I think the result was still it was like 2,000 something, and for me, and 900 for him. So effectively, I'm 2-1. I'm 18-2, 19-1 in the score range, and I didn't check the actual finish, but it was a really necessary battle for us to have because it allowed us to discuss what Richard should bring for the tournament, which is a discussion that I've had with Cameron several times, but not yet with Richard. On the 12th of April, we're going to be going back up. I'm bringing Cameron with me. I'm going to pit Cameron versus Richard so that I can be there and be like, okay, let's discuss your armies, what works well. Also, it means that both of them will be facing armies that they've not faced before, and will allow them to see an army that isn't my Chaos army, because I'm very much under the impression that my Chaos army is very strong and will be difficult. Like, if they continue to play against it, they're going to tailor their list against specifically my list, which will make them weaker against all the other lists out there, because they don't have the toolkits, I don't believe, to deal with my specific Chaos unless they very much go into anti-Chaos, which won't work against all the other variations of armies, because I'm not using typical Chaos. So there's a school of thought which is MSUs, which is multiple small units. I'm not using that. But I know there'll be a lot of armies that do use that, which I know that Richard's list on Saturday would have been able to deal with it much better. But yeah, as I said, I'm not using that kind of ideal, so he's always going to struggle. And I'm hoping that's why I'm bringing the list that I am, because I'm hoping that there'll be enough people at the tournament that will be trying to deal with MSUs that when they come against my army will be like, where the fuck are your MSUs? I'm like, I'm not using them. You're going to have to just try and get through all of my wounds in one unit. It might be a terrible flaw. I might be absolutely destroyed, but I'm looking forward to just giving it a go. But yeah, we had a lot of fun though. It was really, really fun, despite the devastation that I caused on the battlefield and the really poor dice rolling from Richard, to be fair. I feel like we had a good game. I just really enjoy playing the game. It's just really fun. There's a lot of really funny moments that happen, and yeah, it's just nice to have those models on the battlefield and be able to play with them. So that's happening, and then on the 12th we got a new game, and then on the 22nd, another game as well. So we're getting 2 more games in before the tournament, which is May 10th. We might get a third, probably not. Well, you never know. There's like a whole weekend before that, so we'll see what happens. But we want to get as many games as possible for the tournament, and then the tournament, we've booked our hotels and our travel, so that should be really fun. Really, really fun. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It'll be nice to just have the time off as well and not worry about work and just focus on my hobby, so it'll be nice. Yesterday I also did a bunch of painting with my brother. I'm painting up a Bretonnian Lord. At first I was like, this is going to look shit, but now that it's fully painted, still need to base it, still need to do transfers. It looks really good. I'm really, really I'm very happy with the way it looks. I would be happier, I think I discussed it last week, I glued the Lord on the back of the Pegasus. I should have kept them separate to paint them separately and then glue them together, because it has made it difficult. But Hannah, when she inspected the model and she was looking, it's like, you, considering the fact that how difficult it is to get to those bits, you've done a really good job. So I feel the same way. I just need to finish basing it and then it'll be done. I don't know what I'm going to be painting next. Well, I do. I need to spray. I have some time because we've got like 6 weeks before the tournament. I have a new model for my Chaos army, which is basically my sorcerer is on a demonic mount, but I'm currently using it on a demonic steed model because I'm technically allowed. It is within the dimensions. But I bought the actual demonic mount model, which has the right base size, and it looks much more threatening. So I am going to be using that, and I've bought it, I've built it. I just need to wait for the weather to allow me to spray. It's currently too windy to spray because I'm using a rattle can, as my brother called it. So yeah, I just want to be able to, but I've got plenty of time to do that. But that's what I'm going to be painting. But if I haven't been able to spray, I might go and start my High Elves potentially, or do another Bretonnian model here and there. Anyway, that's a lot of information. D&D, we've been doing a bunch of prep, and then on Sunday we had our first session back after a 2-week break. I've realised that from looking at my calendar, it's probably going to be a bunch of 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off because of everything that is happening over the spring and summer, but that's normal. It usually picks up like the amount of stuff that we do on weekends is insane. So yeah, it's going to be we've got last session, we've got this session, then we're going to have a 2-week break most likely because of Easter as well, and then 2 weeks on, and then I've got my Nottingham tournament and my birthday where I'm in London, so that's another 2 weeks off. But I'm at a point where I was discussing this with Hannah after the session, where the players have all entered this new area, this new island sort of region, and they were at one of the places, and it was good downtime, but my intention and my thought was that they were going to use this as a way to get information about the whole area, and they got a little bit of it. Like, I stressed that the weather was going to be a threat, and they listened, but they didn't really go for more information. Like, that was it. It was like, oh, the weather's bad, let's protect ourselves against the weather, and that was it. They didn't ask about, powerful peoples of the area. They didn't ask about any issues with piracy. They didn't ask about dangers of monsters, the bounty boards. They didn't ask about nefarious happenings. So, I don't know, I feel like that they are woefully underprepared for what is coming, is what I'm trying to say. And I know that a few of you will be watching this who are part of this. I feel like you need to understand that you are a high level enough where the threats are going to mount, and there is also an element of, I don't know whether or not the reason why they didn't look into this because they just want to get this arc finished finally, because we have been on this arc for quite a while. It has been like 6 months of, I feel like it's been 6 months of boating, and I know one of our players really wants to get off the boat and wants to go back, and there are other lanes that we want to do that I teased early, and they decided to do this because it is artifact hunting, and the artifacts are really, really good, and they are important to the story. However, I think it's a lot of boating, and yeah, I don't know if it's just that I've not made it interested enough, or if it's just I want to do something else kind of aspect. So I don't know if it's an aspect of they don't really care about the region because they just want to get it done and just get through it. But either way, that's happened. In my other campaign, which we played yesterday, the players are dungeon delving again, because they spent so long not dungeon delving in the last session, that I created a whole dungeon for this thing that they were just going to. It was just going to be a let's pop in, pop out, but now it's a dungeon. Get ready. So we'll see what happens. Last session in the dungeon was definitely interesting. I'm throwing monsters at them. I've changed my thought process on the monsters that are facing this party specifically, because they are all, I don't want to say they're all min-maxed, but they are all very, very capable. So I'm throwing monsters with relatively low AC, but a significantly increased amount of hit points. Because the monsters in the monster manuals and the things that I'm using don't have high enough hit points to withstand more than 1 or 2 turns of combat, which is not what I want. I want to be able to strike them at least a few times, and I feel like I got a really good going in this one. We'll see what happens. They also completely ignored... Oh, I've also introduced... So it's an ice cave, so the entire place is difficult terrain, but lest they slip on the ice. And I was thinking maybe they'll have some ability or some thought process of how do they traverse the ice without incurring difficult terrain, and they all just were like, nah, it's difficult, let's just keep going. So I learned something about the players there, and then because I anticipated that being a thing, there was a hidden wall, which if they ignored, they wouldn't have. There's treasure in there, but the treasure also included a set of crampons for everyone, which are like spikes that you put on the bottom of your shoes for snow and snow walking, hill walking, that kind of thing in like icy weather. And half of them just walked past, and then the other half got through the wall, found this, were like, oh my god, this is great, except by that point they'd triggered the next room's encounter. So it's going to be difficult terrain until they do that. I've also introduced traps. I love my traps. I think I've spoken about this before as well. But the way that I do traps in D&D now is I do it very similar to the games Pathfinder, Kingmaker, and Wrath of the Righteous, where you basically investigate the traps. In the game it is passive, but I make it an active role. You investigate for traps. If you don't see them, they don't appear. If you do, the closer ones appear up to how much you succeeded your rolls. And then once those traps are triggered, they're triggered and they disappear. And then if you find one and you disarm it, then that's fine. If you fail to disarm it, it blows up in your face. And then all the abilities are a random roll for my players. So they roll and they get the ability that basically happens. I did kind of fuck up because the way previously I've used this in the other party and they don't have a barbarian with danger sense, whereas now they do. And the danger sense I didn't realize was a reactive of you get advantage on dexterity saving throws against traps and spells that you can't see. I didn't realize that my traps is basically a nerf of that, because my traps just happen, you don't get to save, because it makes high dex, it basically makes rogues just invincible, which I don't like, because it kind of ruins the fun of like traps. And basically when you're like, oh, you enter this trapped area and people are like, oh, let's be careful of traps, or the rogue just walks through because, oh, I'm just going to use evasion and ignore all of your traps, or evasion. I ignore all your traps and I get advantage on my dexterity saving throws, or I get dexterity and I've got plus 12 because I'm a rogue. And I don't like that. I think that that's boring. I think that that's unfair for the other players who aren't playing rogues. So I unfairly nerfed... I basically nerf rogue fairly, but unfairly nerf the barbarian with danger sense. So what I've done is I've changed it so danger sense now gives him resistance to all abilities, all effects of my traps. So for example, if he takes 3d6 damage, he'll take half of it. If he has an effect, I like using effects, so one of my traps right now gives the slow effect, so it'll be half whatever the slow roll was. But things like that. Yeah, that's basically what's been going on. Quite a bit's been going on, and then quite a bit is coming to fruition. Yeah, just a lot of stuff. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope the weather is fine for all of you. It's getting better for us. We're about to hit, I think it's 2 weeks of really high temperature weather, really sunny weather. So that's good, because it's the first time we're going to see it in a while. I don't think we've had sun like this since like October. Like, it's been really dreary here in the UK, specifically in Wales. We've had several big storms, and then we've had just consistent rain. The suns that we have had been like for a day or like a brief moment, but this is going to be consistent sun for at least a week, if not 2. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't cause any burns and any floods or droughts. That's the one that happens when it's sunny. But hopefully I'll be able to spray stuff. It's just nice to have some actual sunny weather for once. Although we do live in Britain, so, make that as it be. Yeah, and I hope you're all keeping fun, keeping safe. And I will see you all next week. Fare thee well.